Today, we are hopping into the power of habits and soft skills. I call them power skills, and you're going to find out why in just a little bit. So let's jump in. I want to start today with a quote. You guys know, if you followed me at all for a while, that I love the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. And there's a quote that I keep on my wall, but I saw this quote. I can't remember if it was yesterday or today, but it's in chapter 1 of Atomic Habits. And you guys, that book is just such a phenomenal book. If you haven't read it, get it, read it, or listen to it on Audible, whatever is your preferred way of getting through books these days. But here's the quote. Habits often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold and unlock a new level of performance. In the early and middle stages of any quest, there is often a valley of disappointment. You expect to make progress in a linear fashion, and it's frustrating how ineffective changes can seem during the first days, weeks, and even months. It doesn't feel like you're going anywhere. It's a hallmark of any compounding process. The most powerful outcomes are delayed. You guys, this is so powerful. It's such a powerful reminder of everything that we do in life. Whenever we are making any type of adjustments in life, it takes time. Yes, you may see some immediate results, but just like it may have taken you, let's say you're trying to work on a weight issue, it probably took you 20 years to put on whatever that excess weight is that you're having. Do you think you're going to get it off in one day? I was at a Tony Robbins event one time, and Tony was like, if I paid you $1 million, could you lose 30 pounds by tomorrow? And everybody's like, well, no. And I was like, yes, you could if you really wanted to. And the answer is yes, you could. You could cut off a leg. You could cut off an arm. You could do whatever and you would lose that weight. Now, is that worth the $1 million? Absolutely not. However, you would see that instant change, right? An extreme example. I'm not asking you to make anything that extreme. Before we dive in, let me tell you who I am. I am Angela W. Stillwell. I am the CEO and founder of Untapped Strengths, and I work with individuals to transform them into the top 1% of leaders, and I work with teams to transform them into powerhouses. And habits and power skills are crucial to doing this. Okay, I want to read this again. Habits often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold and unlock a new level of performance. Listen, you guys, habits aren't something that start straight away when we make a change. Initially, it's willpower. Have you ever, we'll go back to the weight thing. Maybe you've tried to change the way that you eat. And a couple of weeks in, or New Year's resolutions, you guys, New Year's resolutions are a great example of this. People say, I'm going to change my workout habits, or I'm going to drink more water, or I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And the first couple of weeks in, you do great, and then you fall off the wagon. That's because you're using your willpower. You haven't yet built a new neural pathway. You haven't yet changed your thoughts around it. You haven't actually built a new habit. And people often wonder how long it takes to build a new habit. Sometimes people say it's 21 days. It's not 21 days. Yes, you may get some things done in 21 days. However, what happens at that point is your old way of being starts fighting with your new way of being. And if your old way of being has been around for a while, it is going to win. You're going to fall off the wagon. That's just the way that it is. So next week, I'm starting a series on power skills, and I call them power skills. Historically, they've been called soft skills. These are the skills that help us every day in succeeding. Every day in succeeding. Yes, technical skills are super important. Yes, technical skills get the nitty-gritty stuff done. And the difference maker is always in the power skills. It's always in the soft skills that I call power skills: communication, emotional intelligence, resiliency. You guys, life is not easy. It just isn't. There are difficulties that we all go through, whether it's in our personal relationships, our romantic relationships, our friendships, our families, work relationships. There are always going to be difficulties. Always. That's just the way that life is. And what makes the difference is, how good are you with your power skills? What do you think about them, first of all? When people hear emotional intelligence, sometimes people they'll roll their eyes. They're like, whatever, emotional intelligence, blah, 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 blah. You guys, it's super, super important. It's super important. EQ, IQ, AQ. IQ we've known about for a long time, your intelligence, right? EQ has been talked about quite a bit over the last several years. And just within recent years, AQ, that's adaptability quotient. So emotional quotient, and now adaptability or resiliency quotient. And this resiliency quotient is all around building habits that help you succeed regardless of what's happening around you. It helps you get through really tough times. You guys, I've been through some really tough times. I've been through a lot of them. I still make mistakes. I still make a lot of mistakes because I'm human. And I'm not going to bury myself in those mistakes. I learn from them and I move on. And then the people around me get to decide, are they going to do the same? Are they going to allow for growth? Are they going to step in the new level? They get to decide. I make my choices. They make their choices. You make your choices. Everything in life is a choice, including new habits, including power skills. It's all a choice. Our minds love to play tricks on us and make us think that we don't have a choice in life, or that it's someone else's fault, or that, it's the economy, or whatever. People love to blame all sorts of things. People love to carry this cloak of guilt and shame around. People love to make others feel guilty. People love to make others feel shame. Look, that's one of the most primal parts of tribal society, is blame and shame. It's one of the biggest determining factors in a tribal society. And you guys, tribal society is within all of us. When the poop hits the fan, we all, when we're backed into a corner, revert back to our tribal ways of being. There's a great book, Rule of the Clan. Is it Rule? No, it's not Rule of the Clan. I don't know. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a whole list of books, recommended books together. And if you're on my email list, you'll get that recommended list of books. And by the way, if you're not on my list, get on my list. I want to keep you up to date with what's coming up. You can get on my list by going to, there's a link on the screen, https://linktree/AW Stillwell, linktr.ee/AW Stillwell. Couple of things. One, you can see all of my different social media profiles. Okay. 2, you can get signed up for notifications on the upcoming Power Skills session that starts, masterclass that starts next Monday. Okay. So do that. And when you're on that list, you're going to get things like the recommended books that I am constantly I'm a book nerd, you guys. I love books. When I moved a little over a year ago, I gave away over 300 books. That's not even including how many books I have in my Audible and Kindle and all that kind of stuff. These were physical copies of books, and I still had boxes and boxes and boxes of books. In fact, my friends and family that helped me move can attest to all of the books. In fact, in these doors behind me, there's boxes and boxes of them still. I haven't unpacked all of them. But so getting back to this tribal society thing. So there was this study that was done, and I can't remember the guy's name. It's not coming to me, but I'll have it on that list of books. So get signed up and for next week's thing, and I'll also send out the list of books, the resource list of books that I just find absolutely phenomenal and so useful in understanding people and understanding situations and being able to maneuver in business and life day to day, leadership, etc. So anyway, but back to the tribal society, what happens is blame and shame are part of something that humans have used since the beginning of time to keep people in line. Okay. And when we use it on ourselves, guilt is that we feel bad for doing something. Shame is I am bad. Okay. Two very different things. And yet they get used quite effectively by others and on ourselves. So what is it that perhaps you have a habit of placing guilt or shame or blame on someone else or on yourself? Where does that happen? Where do you hold something over someone because it elevates you in some level? And by the way, when you're doing that, check yourself, because there's something that's going on within you. All right. So all right, this whole habits and power skills and all of that, I can't wait for next week to be able to dive into this again. I did it a couple of months ago, and this one's going to be even better. I can't wait for you guys to join me. It's going to be for 9 days. Yes, 9 days at noon Eastern every day. We'll do a Q&A session in the middle. So look for the details coming out about that. Get signed up. Go to the link tree. You see it on the screen just below my name. And when you get to Linktree, there's the very first button is you can click on that, and that will give you an opportunity to get signed up for details about next week's masterclass. And once you're on there, then I'll start sending you things like the list of recommended books and some other great information to help you day to day. So I want to read this quote again by James Clear from Atomic Habits, because that book, Atomic Habits, has just been such a change maker for me, and really understanding. There's another one, The Power of Habits by, is it Anthony Duhigg? I'll put it on the list. But Atomic Habits. Habits often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold and unlock a new level of performance. In the early and middle stages of any quest, there is often a valley of disappointment. Listen, I want to stop right there for a second. Valley of disappointment. Here's what happens. Here's what happens anytime you are making a change in your life. You're going to be in the thick of it. You're going to be moving along, and all of a sudden you hit a point and you're like, I've been putting a lot into this, and I'm not seeing the return yet. How long do I keep going with this? There's the element of sunk cost, and often people will continue going even when it's not the right thing. And you have to understand when is the right time to then walk away. Maybe it is the right time. Or maybe you just haven't yet gotten through the valley of disappointment based on the changes you've made in your life. Maybe you're just at a difficult time because you've been making changes and the fruit isn't coming yet. You guys, when you have a harvest, it isn't because you just planted yesterday. You prepared the ground months ago. You bought the seed probably before that, right? You prepare the ground. You plant the seed. You water the seed. You fertilize the seed. You take care of it. If you're an organic farmer, you're picking the bugs off as opposed to spraying to kill the bugs. It doesn't happen overnight. And then you watch the plants grow, and then fruit is produced. This is the way that it is. And then you harvest it. And this is the way that it is in anything in life. That valley of disappointment, while you're sitting there, in fact, a great example is bamboo. I just talked about a garden, and that is within just a couple of seasons, right? But bamboo, if you plant bamboo, if you're wanting to grow bamboo because bamboo, maybe you want to be a bamboo farmer because now, bamboo sheets, bamboo clothing, bamboo flooring, bamboo. It's very, it's easy to reproduce. It's easy to grow once it's growing. Here's the thing with bamboo. You plant it, you water it for like 5 years. 5 years. Nothing coming out of the ground. Nothing is happening. But boy, once it does burst through the surface, it bolts up. How many of you know what I'm talking about? How many of you have ever had bamboo in your yard? My grandparents had some in their backyard, and it started overtaking a wooded area. I'm not even sure how the bamboo got started back there, but it was like crazy how much it would grow. And in my yard here, there's some bamboo that one of the neighbors planted, and I am constantly chopping it down because it grows. Once it pops up, it goes like crazy, but it's under the ground for years before it ever surfaces. So understand this. When you're developing new habits, when you are developing new relationships, when you are developing new power skills, when you are developing a new business, when you are developing anything new, there is going to be a period of valley of disappointment, is the way that James Clear calls it. There's going to be a valley of disappointment. So you dang well better be ready to build that muscle memory, to build those habits, to build those power skills, to build that resiliency so that you can get through to whatever your dream is, whatever your vision is, whatever your goals are. If you have dreams and visions and goals, you're going to go through a valley of disappointment. Just going to happen. If you want a relationship of your dreams, you're going to go through a valley of disappointment. If you want a business of your dreams, you're going to go through a valley of disappointment. If you want the body of your dreams, you're going to go through a valley of disappointment. You don't start working out and day 2, you have your abs. Doesn't work like that. All right, so let's read the rest of it. I'll start again. Habits often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold and unlock a new level of performance. In the early and middle stages of any quest, there is often a valley of disappointment. You expect to make progress in a linear fashion. Right? And it's frustrating how ineffective changes can seem during the first days, weeks, and even months. It doesn't feel like you're going anywhere. It's a hallmark of any compounding process. The most powerful outcomes are delayed. So here's my challenge for you. Make sure that whatever it is that you're shooting for, whatever those dreams are, whatever those goals are, whatever those visions are for you, a couple of things. 1, you've written out what that looks like. 2, you're checking your habits. You're paying attention to your habits. 3, how are you from an adaptability and resiliency standpoint? How are your power skills? 4, who are you accountable to? Who do you have standing in your corner, cheering you on? Look, the vast majority of people in your life are not going to do that. They're just not. They're not going to cheer you on, because when you start making changes, that makes them realize that they have an opportunity to make changes. When you're growing and they see your growth, that's going to make them reflect on themselves. That's not about you. That's about them. You then get to dig in and decide, do I want to keep going down the path that I'm going? If I do, great. Nothing else to decide. However, if you are wanting to make adjustments, if you are wanting to get to that next level, if you do want to have that relationship, if you do want to build that business, if you do want to build that legacy for your family, right? Then you are going to have to lean into the fact that there's going to be some blame, shame, and guilt that others are going to place on you. They're going to do it. Then you get to decide if you're going to take ownership of that. I encourage you not to. Ultimately, it's your decision, though. Ultimately, it's your decision. So where in your life do you have a habit of blame, shame, or guilt? Whether it's on someone else or on yourself. Most of us have it somewhere on ourselves. And I've been doing this work for a long time. I've worked with big organizations. I've worked with some powerful individuals. I've spoken at a lot of different events, and I've done a lot of the work on myself. And guess what? It still comes up. It still comes up. So who do you have in your corner for accountability? Who do you have that you can go to stand in that gap and hold that space for your dreams? Or prop you up when you are in that valley of disappointment? Who do you have? Who do you have? If you don't have someone, it's time you found that person or that group. Okay. Okay. Again, next week, I'd love for you to sign up for the Power Skills Masterclass I'm going to be doing, because when you sign up, there's some special things that you get on the backside, and you get the recordings and all of that, because once the event is over, the recordings will go down. Also, when you sign up, I'm going to put together a list of the most powerful books that I believe in, and I will send those out to you. And there are going to be several other things that you're going to have access to too. So go to the link that you see just below my name, linktree/AW Stillwell, AWSTILLWELL. Go there, get signed up, and there's some other information there on the Linktree. In fact, you can actually subscribe to my Linktree, and every time something gets updated on there, you'll get a notification. So like when articles are published or podcasts are released or anything like that, you'll get a notification. So look forward to seeing you starting on Monday at the masterclass. During the masterclass, it will be at noon Eastern, and I can't wait to have you join me. And if there's any questions that you have, please feel free to either send me a DM, or you can message me through Linktree, or you can put it in the comments on any of the platforms where this is being broadcast. I believe this is on LinkedIn, Facebook, and on YouTube. So I look forward to seeing you next week for the masterclass. You guys, thank you so much. And I want to know, what is the biggest habit that you are wanting to shift right now? What is it that you are wanting to do for this next level, or this next version, this leveled up version of you? All right. All right. Have a great afternoon, and I will see you all soon.